In this video, we're going to introduce angles and radian measure. You're all familiar from geometry class with many instances in that class where you deal with measurements of angles. And we're going to use a lot of those concepts in here in this section. However, we're going to draw our angles a special way and also look at some units of measurements that you didn't look at in your geometry classes. So we're going to draw our angles in standard position. Now, angles are formed by two rays that share a common endpoint. So the common endpoint is called the vertex. It's where the two sides of the angle come together. We're going to draw our angles in standard position. And what that means is we're going to set our vertex to be the origin of the xy axes. And our first side for our angle is called the initial side, just like your initials is the first letter of your names. And we're going to have that run along the positive x-axis. So we're going to put our vertex at the origin and have our initial side run along the positive x-axis. And then, like a spinner in a game, the terminal side can land wherever. It can land anywhere in the coordinate plane. Now, here we have a Greek letter. It's the lowercase Greek letter theta, and oftentimes in trigonometry, we use lowercase Greek letters for naming angles. So it's not important that you know all the Greek letters. You could learn them if you like, but you don't need to know them to be successful in here. So again, our angles are in standard position if the following two criteria are met. Number one, the vertex is at the origin. So as we saw in the picture, the vertex has to be at the origin. And number two, our initial side runs along the positive x-axis. So again, vertex at origin, initial side on positive x-axis. So in geometry class, you more or less deal with angle measurements that are positive angles. In here, from our initial side, our positive angle measurements are going to open counterclockwise. So for instance, the way this arrow is going, it's opening to the left. We started our initial side and we open to the left if the angle is a positive angle measurement. So notice the direction this arc's arrow is pointing. Now, we can also have negative angles in trigonometry as well, and negative angles are going to open clockwise. So positive angles open to the left, lefty-loosey. Negative angles open to the right, or righty-tighty. So positive angle measurement versus negative angle measurement just refers to what direction the angle begins to open from the initial side. A quadrantal angle is one in which the terminal side is going to lie on an axis. So the terminal side could land on the x-axis, the positive or negative x-axis. It could also land on the y-axis, the positive or negative y-axis. So in other words, if we look at the x and y axes being perpendicular, making 90 degrees, a quadrantal angle is going to be a multiple of 90 degrees, like 90, 180, 270, 360, etc. All right, so another thing that's going to distinguish trigonometry from geometry is in terms of angle measurements, we often use what is known as a radian. Now, as you can see in this picture, we have a circle. The radius, again, is the segment that goes from the center of the circle to the edge of the circle. And the radius, no matter how we draw it from the center to the edge, is going to be the same. So this radius here is congruent to this radius here. And it tells us that 1 radian is the measure of the central angle of a circle. So central angle, again, means the vertex is at the center. Measure the central angle of a circle in which the radius, this radius here, equals the length of the intercepted arc. So in other words, a radian, 1 radian itself, is when the radius of the circle matches the length of the intercepted arc. Now, that's all well and good, but I like to think of it in terms of one of my favorite foods, pizza. So when you get a pizza, and we're talking about round pizzas, not the square, like sheet pizzas for parties and caterings and all that, but round pizzas, and we grab a slice of our pizza. Now, when we grab a slice of pizza, we also take the crust with it. And I'm a big fan of stuffed crust, and I love to dip mine in Buffalo Ranch. So everyone has their favorite. And if you don't have a favorite because you don't like the crust, well, then give me the crust. I'll eat it. But in any event, Radian is the case where if we were to cut our slice of pizza, if we were to make that cut into the pizza and take our slice, this amount of angle measurement here, which we'll look at in the next video, how much this actually is in degrees, but this amount of angle measurement is going to be the case where the radius of the pizza is going to equal the length of my slice's crust. So if I were to take my slice's crust and lay it out flat like a breadstick, then it would be the same length as the radius of the pizza. That's what 1 radian is. In the next video, we'll take a look at how many degrees this actually is, since we're more familiar with degrees than we are radians. But all you got to remember is a radian is when the radius of the circle or the radius of the pizza equals the length of your slices of pizza's crust. All right, so that about does for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.